All right, so this is Mike again, and I just want to talk about the DJI chart. Now, this applies to the NASDAQ in some way, shape, or form, but I just want to definitely talk about this in terms of my own thoughts, okay? Because in terms of AriasWave, it's a methodology I created, so therefore it's niche. It's a niche market here that I'm talking about. It's a niche methodology, and it's something that not many people can talk about in this way because it's not something that is generally known or accepted. It's just theoretical, right? It's like Oppenheimer, right? It's theoretical until you can actually put into practice. So I've been practicing this for quite a few years now, and so I just want to talk about it. So it's not even an official idea. You could even call it a sub idea. Like it's just commentary. Right? I don't care. This is a platform where I can talk about it. So you can either choose to hear it or ignore it. Like nobody cares if you ignore it, because nobody cares about anything really. So my idea of the whole entire pattern since the Great Depression was that this is a giant zigzag pattern at the minimum, right? And if it's not, then it's going to be the beginning of a larger move up, right? Now, when I look at patterns across the board, I don't see too much evidence suggesting that it's going to be just, you know, a continuation of the trend. I see that it's an end of a trend, right? I see that it's an ending of a trend. So like you got fractal patterns, right? And this is what AriasWave really, this is where this is where AriasWave shines basically, right? So you can have a D wave, but then you could be a D wave within a D wave, right? And you can see that this pattern here, it's very close to finishing. It's in wave four of the fifth wave, right? Since the GFC. I'm pretty sure you know what that looks like right now on the chart. You know what that is, right? So I'm not going to try and highlight everything to you right now on this. This video is not about that. If you don't know what you're looking at, skip to the next video. So basically, what this is like this is more than likely, well, we don't have any proof yet, but it could be one of two things, right? It could be like the end of a zigzag, which means a sharp move down below the red line, okay? Or it could mean that we get a correction after the move up finishes, not below the red line, not below it. Now, there are too many things on other charts that indicate to me that it's probably going to be going below the red line. So therefore, for me, that means that it kind of explains what's going on in cryptos. It explains the psychology behind the trend. It explains, confidence against fiat currencies and inflation, right? It explains, a little bit about geopolitical things going on and why things seem so shaky at the top here. It's because they are. And we all know that psychology is the driver of all markets, right? If you haven't worked that one out yet, um, it's not hard to see that narratives play a big role in how markets move, right? It, they do. So therefore, you could only assume that it's a very delicate balance between, you know, positivity and negativity in the markets, right? Especially because of news. So it only takes a certain amount of things to tip things over a certain, trend line, uh, based on events, based on, the crowd psychology, whatever the hell it is, right? I mean, you saw what happened in Brexit. You saw what happened to the pound and the euro in Brexit, right? We don't live in a world of basically like we don't live in a world of common sense. We live in a world of reactionary events. We live in a world of crowd reaction, basically. And the waves basically outline the whole thing. So you can almost guarantee that the waves are going to give you that, you know, guide if you know them ahead of time, which AriasWave claims to do. So the pattern so far indicates that we're in a ending pattern at the highs. It's not going to end for another year. Now I will post more on this if I get some interest, or I may just choose to do so because why not? But the more that people like my content, the more that I'll keep posting it because I feel that there's probably a group of people out there who want to know the real pattern. What is it and how does it work, and what to expect, how to trade it, how can I profit, etc. Where do I take profit, all that type of thing, because mostly people are long. So in that case, I suppose, you know, it comes back to, inflation, disinflation, future hyperinflation. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we get some future hyperinflation after some disinflation or deflation, because in order for everything to kind of normalize, we're probably going to have to see deflation before we can proceed forward in this, type of manner because of the psychology of the markets, right? I mean, politics is all about appeasing the people, right? Because they're trying to control us basically. So we can't, they can't really just start printing money to hell and back. They've got to kind of do it in a very, you know, orderly manner in order to make sure that everybody's on board with the policies that these policymakers create, and everything's according to the law and justice and all that stuff, right? Because that's what it is all about, right? So therefore, the patterns kind of reflect kind of like that balance between understanding and reaction to uh, upheavals in the market, tumultuous times, and also, a lot of risk assessment. So therefore, I suppose what I'm trying to say is that there comes a point in time where the Fed cannot control inflation, but also the reaction to trying to control inflation by raising rates comes to a crescendo where it kind of breaks things along the way, and people just, you know, no longer have that fixed rate adjustable mortgage and eventually suffer, and the whole thing crumbles like a house of cards, because that's obviously where it's heading. And it's not the first time, right? We've all seen The Big Short. And I think that psychologically, the waves is painting the same picture as a GFC. I think that it's a much bigger version of it, um, fractally speaking, as well as psychologically and, you know, financially speaking, I suppose. But I think that, you know we can definitely foresee it in terms of the pattern, but we can also foresee it in terms of cryptos, rates, and the obvious effects of this inflation that we're experiencing. Obviously, it's having impact on everyday life, right? So therefore, my thoughts and commentary on this video, I suppose, are kind of trying to say that we kind of need a reset for that, because a lot of debt needs to be flushed out. A lot of a lot of problems caused by the inflationary problems need to be flushed out. Because, I mean, what is inflation, right? You inflate the money supply. How does that happen? Well, you create more debt. Debt creates more currency units, causes inflation. It has this effect on inflation that is really out of your hands. It's out of your control. You can't control that. Even though you're a victim of it, you can't control it. But the system is pretty just in that way. Like, it's pretty fair. Like, it gives you justice, basically. It serves you justice. It serves everybody justice. Right? The Great Depression, for example, it equalized everything, right? Just like Denzel Washington knows about equalizing, right? It equalized everything, right? Gave it a base, start again, right? Like, this is just the way the world works. You can't keep continuing to move in a direction that is unsustainable, right? You need to face the reality. And when you do, it may not be nice, it might be painful. And I think just that's just where it's heading. So whether or not I'm right or wrong, whatever this and that, who cares? This is just commentary. It's not a trade idea. You don't have to put any money anywhere. That's just how I feel based on AriasWave. All right. All my ideas and thoughts come from years of AriasWave since 2015. And it's helped me understand things in a different way. Obviously, you use your brain to kind of figure things out along the way, and you put two and two together. So that's how I feel. That's my view. Agree or not, great. I'm glad, whatever. But just take whatever you can from this, and I'll talk to you soon.